senses, not destroyed, not dulled them. Above all was the sense of hearing acute. I heard all things in heaven and in the earth. I heard many things in hell. How then am I mad? Hearken and observe how healthily, how calmly I can tell you the whole story. It is impossible to say how the idea first entered my brain. But once conceived, it haunted me day and night. Object there was none. Passion there was none. I loved the old man. He had never wronged me. He had never given me insult. For his gold I had no desire. I think it was his eye. Yes, it was this. One of his eyes resembled that of a vulture. A pale blue eye with a film over it. Whenever it fell upon me, my blood ran cold. And so by degrees, very gradually, I made up my mind. I made up my mind to take the life of the old man and rid myself of the eye forever. Now, this is the point. You fancy me mad? Madmen know nothing. Oh, but you should have seen me. You should have seen how wisely I proceeded. With what caution, with what foresight, with what dissimulation I went to work. I was never kinder to the old man than during the whole week before I killed him. And every night, about midnight, I turned the latch of his door and opened it. Oh, so gently. Oh! You would have laughed to see how cunningly I thrust my head in. I moved it slowly, very, very slowly. It took me an hour to place my whole head within the opening, so far that I could see him as he lay upon his bed. Ha! Would a madman have been so wise? This I did for 7 long nights. Upon the 8th night, I was more than usually cautious in opening the door. Perhaps he heard me, though, for he moved on the bed, suddenly as if startled. Now, you may think I drew back, but no. I had my head in and was about to open the lantern, and presently I heard a slight groan. And I knew it was the groan of mortal terror. Oh, I knew the sound well. I knew what the old man felt, and I pitied him. He was thinking that he had heard nothing. Nothing but the wind in the chimney. It was only a mouse crossing the floor. Yes. He was trying to comfort himself with these suppositions. But he had found all in vain. All in vain. All in vain. Because death, in approaching him, had stalked his black shadow before him and enveloped the victim. I resolved to open a very, very, very little crevice in the lantern, until at length a single dim ray, like the thread of a spider, shot from out the crevice and full upon the vulture eye. I could see nothing else of the old man's face, for I had directed the ray as if by instinct precisely upon the damned spot. And now have I not told you that what you mistake for madness is nothing but an over-acuteness of the senses? And now I say, there came to my ears a low, dull, quick sound, such as a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. I knew that sound well, too. It was the beating of the old man's heart. It increased my fury as the beating of a drum stimulates a soldier into courage. But even yet, I refrained. I kept still. I scarcely breathed. I held the lantern motionless. Meantime, the hellish tattoo of the heart increased. It grew quicker and quicker and louder every instant. The old man's terror must have been extreme. It grew louder, I say. Louder and louder every moment. I thought the heart might burst. And now a new anxiety seized me. The sound would be heard by a neighbor. The old man's hour had come. With a loud yell, I threw open the lantern and leaped into the room. He shrieked once only. In an instant, I dragged him to the floor and pulled the heavy bed covers over him. I then smiled gaily at the deed so far done. For many minutes, I beat on with a muffled sound. This, however, did not vex me. It would not be heard through the wall. At length it ceased. The old man was dead. I removed the bed covers and examined the corpse. I placed my hand upon the heart and held it there many minutes. There was no pulsation. He was dead. Dead. Stone dead. His eye would trouble me no more. If you still think me mad, you will think so no longer when I describe the wise precautions I took for the concealment of the body. First of all, I dismembered the corpse. I cut off the head and the arms and the legs. I then took up 3 planks from the flooring of the chamber and deposited all. I then replaced the boards so cleverly, so cunningly, that no human eye, not even his, could have detected anything wrong. There was nothing to wash out. No stain of any kind, no blood spot whatever. I had been too wary for that. A tub had caught all. When I had made an end of these labors, it was 4 o'clock. As the bell sounded the hour, there came a knocking at the street door. I opened it. For what had I now to fear? There entered 3 men who introduced themselves as officers of the police. A shriek has been heard in the night. There is suspicion of foul play. We have been deputed to search the premises. I smiled. But what had I to fear? I bade the gentleman welcome. The shriek was my own in a dream. The old man, he's absent in the country. I took my visitors all over the house. I bade them search. Search well, search. I led them at length to his chamber. I showed them his treasure, secure, undisturbed. In the enthusiasm of my confidence, I brought chairs into the room and desired them here to rest from their fatigues. Here, rest. While I myself, in the wild audacity of my perfect triumph, placed my own seat upon the very spot beneath which reposed the corpse of the victim. We are satisfied. My manner had convinced them. I was singularly at ease. But ere long, I felt myself getting pale, and I wished them gone. My head ached, and I fancied a ringing in my ears. But still they sat and still chatted. The ringing became more distinct. I continued and became more distinct. I talked more freely to get rid of the feeling. But it continued and gained definitiveness until at length I found that the noise was not within my ears. No doubt I now grew very pale. But I talked more fluently, more quickly. Yet the sound increased. But what could I do? It was a low, dull, quick sound. Much such a sound as a watch makes when enveloped in cotton. And yet the officers heard it not. I talked more quickly, more vehemently. But the noise steadily increased. I arose and argued about trifles in a high key and with wild gesticulations. But the noise steadily increased. God, why would they not be gone? I paced the floor to and fro with heavy strides. But the noise steadily increased. Oh, God! What could I do? I foamed, I raved, I swore! I swung the chair upon which I'd been sitting, raging upon the boards! But the noise grew louder, 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 louder! And still the men chatted pleasantly and smiled! Was it possible they heard not? Almighty God! Oh, no! No! They heard. They suspected! They knew! They were making a mockery of my horror! This I thought, and this I think! Oh, but anything was better than this agony. Anything more tolerable than this derision. I could bear those hypocritical smiles no longer. I must scream or die! Louder! 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 Villains! Dissemble no more, I admit the deed! Tear up the planks! Here! Here! It is the beating of his hideous heart! True. 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 Nervous. Very, very dreadfully nervous I had been. And am. But why were you